What goals did you set for 2025? If better sleep is one, Symbiotica's magnesium L-threonate helps you wake up refreshed. For gut health, their glutathione supports digestion and reduces bloating. Symbiotica is one of the most transparent brands out there, never compromising on quality or sourcing. Their products are free from seed oils, preservatives, toxins, and artificial additives, something you can taste and feel in every packet. Go to Symbiotica.com and use code iHeart for 20% off and free shipping. That's Symbiotica.com, code iHeart.
Lowe's knows that free is just better. That's why MyLowe's Rewards is free to join. As a member, you earn points towards MyLowe's money on eligible purchases, get exclusive free gifts, and earn free shipping at Silver Key status, all on top of weekly member-only deals. Don't wait. Join MyLowe's Rewards for free today and start saving more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Oh, where are we?
Good morning, sleepyheads. Finally.
Where's the studio?
Where is anything at all? I can't even see.
Well, this week's episode is on the USS Indianapolis, so I thought, what better way for us to get in the spirit than to spend 4 days stranded at sea together as a cast?
You didn't.
I hate you so much.
Come on, guys. We can bond, we can fight off sharks, and don't worry, someone will be by to pick us up in 4 days. This is our chance to get closer.
Eli, have you read the essay?
I try not to read ahead. I like to stay fresh. I don't want to drop my energy the way Heath does. Really want to perform at the top of my bean. You know what I'm saying? The old bean.
Okay, well, spoiler, 2/3 of the people in that story die, Eli. They all die.
Oh.
And Heath, what are you eating?
Not Tom.
Very clearly Tom. It's very clearly
I can
Tom.
see his face.
Yeah, he started eating him as soon as he woke up.
Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, the podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts, because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm Eli Bosnick, and I'll be navigating these waters, but I'll need some chums.
Yes.
First up, my turn to talk! First up, no. Nobody bought tickets to hear you. First up, two men who even sharks have described as far too tough to eat, Noah and Cecil. I enjoyed that myself.
Yeah, me and you don't get shit for
I know,
a book.
right? They never applaud for us.
I feel like I'm safe until sharks discover antacids.
You'd think with all those teeth they wouldn't have a problem. It's third row eating.
Oh.
Huh? We have shit tit signs, audience.
Wow,
at home.
twice in the
You can't see
opening.
it.
And also joining us tonight, shark food porn, if ever there was one, Heath and Tom.
Come on. 2 girls, 1 scup was an amazing project.
Wow.
Scup is a fish? Fuck everybody.
Yeah, sidebar, do sharks watch a lot of porn? Because without hands just seems like it causes more problems than it solves.
It's a Dutch rudder situation.
Now, before we begin tonight, our final live show for the evening, I'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons. Who here's a patron? Woo! What's your name? Sarah? Thank you, Sarah. And if you'd like to join Sarah's ranks, be sure to stick around to the end of the show. And with that out of the way, tell us, Tom, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event will we be ending our live show experience on today?
Well, since Noah wrote it, it's going to be something uplifting. It says, the sinking of the USS Indianapolis?
Yeah.
And Noah, you finally decided on this subject after Tom threatened to bomb several important Etruscan archaeological finds. Are you ready to set sail?
Promise.
The Etruscans are interesting, though. But yes. Yeah.
So tell us, Noah, what was the sinking of the USS Indianapolis?
It was the deadliest shark attack in recorded history. And I want to be, and you guys cheered for it. That's fucking weird.
Starting early.
All right, so I want to be super clear here. I want to push back against the pro-shark propaganda that infests the internet. All right, because you're going to constantly come across things like, 10 things more deadly than sharks or whatever, and they'll have shit on the list like vending machines. Right? And yes, okay, vending machines kill more people than sharks. Just the vending machines kill like 3 people a year. Sharks kill fewer than 1. That is not as exculpatory as you might think when you consider how much more time we spend around vending machines than fucking sharks. Imagine if a couple of times a week you were in the habit of just going up to a shark and shoving a dollar bill in its cloaca, asking it for a zag nut.
A zag nut?
That's like that. It's not going to fucking, they kill a lot more than 3 people a year. Plus, there is no story of the worst vending machine attack in recorded history.
No.
Don't let them fool you. Sharks are giant murder tubes.
Yes.
Shark gets mad about losing its dollar. He tips over the vending machine on himself by accident. Okay, this is kind of funny because it's the one. It's the stat for both at the same time.
But it's a Japanese shark, so it's got the panties from the vending machine on its head with its nose through the leg hole, and it's super disappointed. It's like, oh, it's just the wrapper.
Sorry, little side note here. Noah had to think of a relatable thing that humans fetch from a vending machine, and he landed on Zagnut.
Yes.
That's only because he didn't know after they discontinued cigarette vending machines what they would be used for.
It was the funniest sounding one. Okay. So the villain in question in this story are twofold, actually. Criminally negligent incompetence and the oceanic white-tip shark.
This will actually be the only story where the white tip is bigger.
Yeah. All right. So oceanic white tips, also known as brown milbert sandbar shark, brown sharks, lesser white sharks, Bigano sharks.
Said in like an Italian voice. It's a Bigano shark, no?
Yep. Wait, there's more. Ocean white-tipped whalers and silver-tip sharks are among the most aggressive sharks in the world. Probably because humans couldn't decide on one fucking name for them.
Yeah.
Milbert is not an aggressive sounding thing.
Right. Well, yeah, they might also just be pissed that among the contenders for name is lesser white shark.
I love lesser white shark. It should have been called the needs improvement white shark.
Right?
It's the king of the C+.
Yeah, the satisfactory shark. Nice one. Well done, sir.
You can hold it up.
All right, so white-tip sharks populations are in steep decline today because Chinese people eat weird soup. But back in the 1600s, it's true, these were one of the most familiar sharks to mariners because they were known to follow ships around licking their lips and saying shit like, no, I bet you guys can sail through that. probably looks way worse than it is because sharks are fucking evil and these guys were evil for sharks.
Jesus.
But despite their well-known homicidal nature, people build boats anyway.
We learn so much about each other doing these shows.
Right? Somebody did awe for white tip sharks.
We're losing them.
So far, the only thing that I know Noah doesn't hate are his wife, a handful of cats, and loudly correcting people. I don't expect to add anything to this list.
Okay. I love all cats and all volumes of correcting people. This was
like
conversationally.
that he corrected me about. Okay.
But conversationally. So anyway,
Still mic'd.
Among the boats that people built was the USS Indianapolis, a Portland-class heavy cruiser whose Wikipedia page feels the need to point out that it was named after the capital city of Indiana. And by the way, I have no idea what Portland-class means, but apparently that entire class consists of 2 ships, this one and one called the Portland. So feel like the Indianapolis was kind of fucked since birth, right?
Yeah.
The USS adopted kid.
Right.
Not by gays, though. It's from Indiana. So it's not gay people can do that.
All right. So the Indianapolis is launched in 1931 and it does a bunch of Navy shit for a dozen years. but it doesn't really get to kick any ass until World War II.
Yeah, but to be fair, that would have been awkward without a war involved.
No, you're right. You're right, now that I think about it. All right, so in 1943 and 44, the Indianapolis served as the flagship for the 5th Fleet, and then in July of 1945, it was tasked with a top-secret mission to deliver the enriched uranium that would be used for Little Boy, the first nuclear weapon ever used in combat.
Wait, what year was the boat made?
Why don't you add a new
31?
question? That I say? There you go. Yes, thank you.
Could we not find a new boat for that fucking mission for the uranium? Like, no, we got a 31 Pinto with a sail fucking taped to the top of it. That'll be fine. Get a model from that decade, right? Get a lease. Jesus
This from
Christ.
the man who drove a car here that once literally caught on fire while we were all in it. I'm sorry, is that warship 10 years old? Fuck off!
That fire was you.
And right out!
Whatever.
That really did happen, though. Okay, so to be clear...
I still have that car.
He does. So to be clear, the uranium they were using for this bomb represented something like half of the world's supply of uranium-235. This was damn valuable cargo. There was no backup here. It was also some damn secret cargo, right? Because like nuclear bombs weren't a thing at that point, but a lot of people knew that they could be a thing. So if the Japanese found out Americans were taking enriched uranium to such and such an island, they'd have basically committed every available bomb to that island. So that means that almost no one in the Navy knew where the Indianapolis was supposed to be.
Pulled over for a broken taillight on the FDR. Hopefully it had a white captain.
Yeah. Well, they should have just called it the USS Lacrosse, and they'd let it go with a Stern talking to.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Stern.
Oh,
Thank
Stern,
you.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stern is
I got it,
excellent.
Tom.
I earned
I got it, Tom.
I earned it.
All right.
Boom.
So the ship leaves from San Francisco on July 16th of 1945, within hours of the first successful nuclear test, by the way, and she is hauling ass. Apparently, this ship set a record for the time from San Fran to Pearl Harbor and then kept hauling ass across the Pacific. On July 26th, the Indianapolis delivers her precious cargo to Tinian Island and then sends off towards the Philippines.
That had to be an awkward handoff, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All the world's rich uranium, just sign right here.
Dude, are your bones glowing?
I said sign right here.
And fast. All right. So now the mission's accomplished and all, but they still have a lot of secrecy around this ship's movements because they can't afford for people to be going like, hey, where the fuck did this ship come from, right? So even after the drop-off, the movements of the Indianapolis are known to only a few higher-ups in the Navy.
Okay, seriously? What? The mission is accomplished. They had a banner and everything. That means everything's okay now.
Right.
Nope, not so much. Okay. And that becomes a big problem pretty quick when at a quarter after midnight on July 30th, the Indianapolis was hit with a Japanese torpedo and started to sink.
Yeah, they were going to take evasive maneuvers, but the torpedo was pixelated, so they couldn't really see what it was. Sure. Could have been anything. Room handle, you don't know.
You all watch Japanese porn, don't lie.
All right. So keep in mind that the Americans had basically broken all the Japanese codes at this point. So when a Japanese submarine radios home and says, hey, we just took out a big-ass American heavy cruiser, the Americans decode the message and they go, there's no American heavy cruiser in that area. They must be trying to lure us into a trap. And so they ignored it.
Plus, we might literally vaporize all of Asia next week.
Yeah.
Honestly, we have no idea. It's like 50-50, so that ship's getting fucked either way. Can we focus on rending the fundamental building blocks of the universe in defiance of God, please? And not worry about this dumb ship?
Right. Both Little Boy and Fat Man are lining up for the Japanese gangbang right there.
God.
I have that video on my phone.
I know you do. I know you do. All right. So despite all that, I should point out it is not that easy to lose a heavy cruiser.
Well, you're fucking telling me you let them blow you a couple of times and suddenly they're texting you all day long.
All right, Heath, if you don't quit the show over that, I will.
We both quit
All
the
right.
show.
So there's a command center on Guam that tracks every U.S. ship in the sea, but they were operating under the assumption that if a big-ass ship like the Indianapolis should fail to show up where it's supposed to be, someone would tell them.
Because someone other than the command center should be in charge?
That must have been what they thought. But there's a problem with that if nobody where the ship is supposed to be knows it's supposed to be there. That kind of fucks up the plan, right? So basically, when they didn't hear that the Indianapolis didn't show up the next day, they took it off the board and said that it was docked in the Philippines.
What?
Yeah.
Are we sure about this new system? I'm just saying, because according to our big risk board, all of our ships are docked in the Philippines. That can't be right.
All right. So back on the ship, the fact that they're not docked in the Philippines is very hard to ignore. So two torpedoes hit the starboard side of the ship.
And some Japanese submariner is just fist pumping like, I told you guys, B7, yes!
Pitfall, battleship. We got all of the topical references. Yeah. All right. So the first torpedo blows a chunk of the ship's bow over 60 feet across out of the water and ignites a tank containing something like 3,500 gallons of aviation fuel. This sends a pillar 500 feet into the sky. The second one hits the ship's fuel tanks and powder magazines. Really should store those in different places, I feel like. And then that sets off a chain reaction that basically rips the ship in half.
Right, but the saddest part is that guy from the infomercial with the tape wasn't around to save them.
No. This would be a short if he had been, yeah.
Oh, battleship jokes you like, but the most popular product in the United States for 2016? Fuck you!
All right. So now all of this shit is happening just after midnight. And among the things that go on in this chain reaction is that they lose all their electrical generators. So you have to imagine these sailors, they're basically woken up by the sound of an explosion. Seconds later, they're in the dark somewhere in the heart of half a ship that's still tearing ass across the Pacific at 17 knots. And also, a bunch of people also just exploded. So they're trying to get the fuck out of there and or rescue the wounded, but they're basically also stumbling around in the dark while they do it. And as it happens, they're going to have all of 12 minutes from the time the first torpedo hits before the ship goes under.
Well, it's going to take like 14 minutes for Rose to go back below deck and get the Jewel of the Nile or whatever.
Yeah,
so.
no, they're fucked.
Still higher rated than Carnival Cruise, though.
Yeah.
No, yeah, can confirm. All right. So you imagine this hectic scene. You got injured people everywhere. They're desperately trying to get life rafts and emergency rations into the water. And just getting them in the water before the ship sinks isn't enough. Of course, you have to get some distance there because when the ship goes down, it sucks everything nearby down with it. So basically, they're trying to launch life rafts, load them up, and get a good ways away from this death trap before it sinks. Needless to say, they don't get all the life rafts in the water, and perhaps just as needless to say, they don't get all the people in the water either. Of the 1,196 men on board, only about 3/4 of them made it off the ship before it went down.
Oh. All right, 1 in 4 people has to die on the ship right now. We counted off in 4s. I feel like some people, to be with their friends, they lied about their number. We're going to try something different. Everybody look to your left. Now look to your right. Now kill a third person. I'm doing math badly.
So here we are, 12 minutes after the initial explosion. You've got some 900 sailors just bobbing around the Pacific Ocean with way fewer rafts than asses.
Okay, leave it to the Navy to count by asses.
It's always by asses, yeah. So now a lot of these guys are wearing life preservers, but many of them aren't. So basically these people are clinging to anything that can float.
Yeah, a lot more people would have survived, but it's one person per door. It's a rule now.
Yeah, no, they set that rule way, way long before. All right, so keep in mind, too, that when the ship went down, it also left a pretty nasty oil slick on the surface of the water. So this is getting in everybody's eyes, in their mouths, in their open wounds. And speaking of open wounds, they're also putting a lot of blood in the water.
And there's like a shark sommelier in there, and he's like, I get the richness of the 10W30, but I'm getting hints of like corn-fed Nebraskans.
All right. So at this point, you got to figure the survivors that aren't seriously injured figure that they've already made it through the worst of this, right? They got to figure somebody in the Navy and the Naval Command chain is going to notice a 70-foot-long, 10,000-ton ship missing. And this is like 30 years pre-Jaws as well, so they didn't have a chance to hear Quint's speech about this, right? But as it happens, the ship sinks at about midnight on Monday morning.
Some guy with his face all burned up, Bob's next to you, like, Mondays, am I right?
Well, it turns out this is actually going to be the best thing that happens to these guys all fucking week.
All right. Well, there's blood in the water, and I'm about to chum. So we'll take a quick break to think about baseball for a little ditty we like to call Apropos of Nothing.
Sir, we just got word from the Japanese. They sunk an international cruiser, sir.
Do we even have a cruiser in that space?
Not that I know of, sir.
Johnson. Yes, sir.
Do we have a cruiser at 42, 50, 44, 32?
No.
Okay, you're saying that weird. That's weird.
What?
The way you're saying it.
No, I said no. Normal. No.
No, you're definitely saying it weird.
Super are saying
Definitely
that
saying
weird.
I am not.
Weird.
I'm not.
No, you
I'm
are.
not saying it weird, but let's just say I were saying it weird, and we did have a cruiser in that space. In that situation, I would not be able to tell you about it. But I'm not.
Okay, but listen, if there is a secret ship there, it just got sunk by the Japanese. So we should go help. That's
No, not until we have other info we can't. No.
I mean, we have audio of their screams.
Please, help us! There's sharks here!
Those could be dolphins.
English-speaking dolphins?
English-speaking dolphins, yep.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, English-speaking dolphins!
And we're back. When we left off, we were about to lose a whole bunch of semen, but then Cecil yelled at us for jerking off in the dark during the interstitial skits. So something boat. Noah, go.
All right. So let me reset the scene here. The USS Indianapolis just sank. About 900 people are floating in the water in various stages of dead, and it's almost pitch black. And this is when the sailors start to notice that they are not alone in the water.
Oh, they've got each other.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
Now, it's here that I'd like to return to that vending machines are more dangerous than sharks bullshit. Right? Because, okay, imagine how this story would play out if at this point they discovered that they were surrounded by vending machines. Right? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. It would be frustrating. Their money would be wet. The bill reader would keep spitting it back out. They'd be rubbing it against the edge, trying to get the wrinkles out and shit. But it'd still be a hell of a lot better than being surrounded by fucking sharks.
All you see is a bunch of dollar bills going up and down on the surface of the water. Just circling around.
Heath, they're not dollar bills. You can only put $5 bills in the water. They're fins. I'll take it.
Boy, we're putting some mileage on that sign tonight.
Fucking
Okay.
A.
Now, up until this point, this has been a pretty upbeat story, I know, but this is where it gets bad. And it gets really fucking bad. Okay, so at this point, there's a lot of injured people in the water. They're bleeding. They're thrashing. They're basically screaming, all-you-can-eat shark buffet, this exit. And it doesn't take long for the sharks to notice.
You know there was one, shark Keith's dad who refused to pull over because he made bologna sandwiches for the ride.
Yeah, you know what's great is all that is. You know that little sharks were like, ew, can't you just gnaw the crusts off?
My dad beat them up.
Aw.
That got weird.
So, Heath's dad liked to fight sharks.
Still learning a lot about each other.
Yeah. All right, so there's an important thing you need to keep in mind here. Sharks are not the universally recognized ocean monsters then that they are now. Like these people were aware that sharks existed and that sharks could kill a motherfucker, but they had nowhere near the fear of them that people who grew up post-Jaws would have, or at least they didn't at the start of this whole ordeal.
Yeah, sharks were just that super introverted, nerdy guy looking for the right time to strike up a conversation with humans. He's like, so you come here often?
No, I'm actually trapped in the water.
Cool. I can smell your blood.
What?
Nothing. I didn't say anything. What? Did you say something?
All right. So now at first, the sharks just started taking the corpses, which is really just tidying up, but, no big deal. but they were getting a taste for human meat, and that's not good. So by the time the sun comes up, they can see, like the sailors can see dorsal fins intermingled amongst them. And they start to group together as much as they can.
The sharks are like, no, this is perfect. This is perfect. Get in groups. That's ideal. They start wrapping seaweed around little circles of people. Sushi, no, this is good. Let's get one bag of rice per group. Sprinkle a little roe.
Yeah, cluster together. It's a good strategy. I don't like when my food is touching either.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So, and keep in mind, again, that they were leaping off of this ship in a near panic, right? They are way more people than there are lifeboats. So a lot of these people are just floating in the water with their life vests on, or in a lot of cases without life vests on, just waiting for some dude to die and hoping they can get to the life vest before the shark eats them and takes it with them.
Is anybody else here picturing like the sharks trying on the life vest like it's Fashion Week?
I did a bulimic shark, everyone at home.
You totally did.
The Late Show went to bulimic shark, for those of you wondering.
All right. So now, sharks and drowning are not the only things that these guys have to worry about. There's also Japanese people out in the water trying to kill them. But they managed to get some emergency rations into the water before the ship sunk, but not enough. So in addition to being food, they're also running out of food. And more importantly, they're running out of water. Of course, a lot of them had pretty severe injuries to begin with, with all the torpedoes and the explosions. So basically, they're all bobbing up and down, wondering if the sharks, the starvation, the dehydration, the lack of buoyancy, the gangrenous leg, or the enemy ships are going to kill them first.
I'm just picturing the reincarnated guys from that steamboat and then the syrup explosion and then the radiation in South America being like, okay, you got to admit, at this point, it's a little funny, right?
I love that this eternally dying dude has become like a running guy in our show. He's like a constant character. All right, so now this would already be a historically terrible story if the Navy showed up with rescue boats like the next morning, but they didn't. In fact, these hapless bastards would be floating in the South Pacific for 4 fucking days before they were rescued. Or at least, I'm just sorry, not all of them.
Yeah, right.
So the Navy spent 4 days walking around the docks of Manila, Philippines, being like, are you guys fucking sure you haven't seen a 600-foot boat? We have a system, and the captain never said he's not here. I heard it.
All right. So by the middle of the first day, the sharks had run out of corpses to feast on, and they started turning to injured sailors. Now, there are a lot of really fucked up stories in this, and I'll tell as many of them as I can. A lot of the time, like, basically these guys are just kind of like floating around bored for hours at a stretch, and then suddenly somebody's like pushed up out of the water and drug along for a few dozen yards screaming and then disappear below the waves, or else they're just sitting around and suddenly somebody just disappears below the waves and all they see is a mangled life preserver floating back to the surface.
Okay, this seems like a weird situation where people are bored ever.
Yeah, so. Right? Playing Candy Crush or something. Sucks. Now, pretty quickly, they realize the sharks are going after the isolated sailors, so the survivors start to congregate in ever tighter groups, which is more or less safe, provided you're in the middle of the group. So you have to imagine, like, scores of people on the outside of these groups, like, desperately trying to push their way into the middle.
We said no swimming under and popping back up in the middle. We said that. Steve's swimming under right now. He just went under.
I'm not saying make this into a musical, but I am saying if this were one, this would be a perfect time for that synchronized swimming number. You know what I mean?
And it would still have less deaths than Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. So there's a win for everybody.
Oh, fewer deaths. Thank you. Of course. See, and that was quiet. See, that one was quiet. All right. So through all this time, of course, they're also starving. Now, they did have some rations, but nowhere near enough. And even what they did have, they often couldn't use, right? Like, there's one of the survivors recalls a story of him and his friend opening a can of Spam and then seeing a bunch of dorsal fins just zeroing in on that fucking Spam. So they, like, have to eat, like, they're starving to death, and still they're throwing food away from themselves, you know?
Yeah, that's what you need when you're dying of thirst. Brine salt pork. Yeah,
Right,
that's
yeah.
great, yeah.
The only part of the story that makes any sense is throwing the spam away.
That's true. Yeah, I'd rather die from sharks. Yeah. All right. So, of course, more important than the lack of food is the lack of water. People are dropping from dehydration pretty quickly.
Well, I mean, they're not dropping very far. It's just...
Well, eventually, slowly, they drop a really long ways, but yeah.
Just drooping.
Now, and of course, as is so often the case when shipwrecked people start dying of thirst, some of them start drinking salt water, which, of course, kills them, but also, like, drives a lot of them crazy first. So you have a lot of stories at this point of, like, people just, like, diving under the water themselves, dragging people down with them. Yeah, no, it just gets better from here. And also, just to validate Quint from Jaws, there actually were a lot of stories of people like the sharks would just eat the parts of them that were underwater. This is my mime for sharks eating you, by the way. So there are a lot of stories of people like swimming over and just like tapping somebody on the back that they think is asleep, and he just flips over and he's just half a dude. Yeah.
You know, World War II Eli pretended to be dead so someone would shake him and he could flash his dick at him. You know that?
Okay, in World War II, Eli's defense got him. Oh no, the sharks chewed my gum. What time is it?
So now the secrecy surrounding their mission is often invoked as the ultimate reason why they weren't rescued right away. But I want to be clear that there were actually plenty of opportunities to know that this ship went down. When the torpedo hit, this ship sent out a goddamn distress signal, and it was received by 3 different stations. But at one, the commander was too drunk to do anything about it. At another, the commander had ordered that nobody disturb him no matter what. And a third was paranoid and assumed it was a Japanese trap. Now, apparently, none of the subordinates said anything like, okay, but let's make sure we tell him about the 1,000 drowning guys in shark-infested water after he sobers up or wakes up, because they continue to do nothing about this for the next day and the day after that.
Okay, you guys laugh, but if Noah told us not to disturb him right now, Heath and I would whisper the rest of this fucking podcast.
Do not disturb, like the guy runs in with an urgent message, just like a necktie on the commander's door. Oh,
yes, damn it. Yes, essentially that, yeah. So actually, when the rescue finally came, it was a complete coincidence. At 10:25 a.m., August 2nd, again, 4 days after the fucking ship sank, a couple of guys are on a routine patrol flight when they spot this huge crowd of American sailors in the water. They immediately drop a life raft and a radio transmitter, and presumably, if he was thinking about it, one of the survivors looked at that life raft and screamed, "We're going to need a bigger boat!" If not, they all felt so fucking wrong about that for the rest of their lives.
This is a call forward. Trust me, this is going to kill once they make Jaws. This is awesome. The movie about sharks.
I know we're laughing about this, but one life raft is more aid than they sent Katrina.
No, that's true. That's true. All right. So,
boo, George Bush, boo.
Yep. So the pilot radios this in. Immediately, all the air and surface units that are capable of rescue are dispatched to that area. And there's a standing order against landing amphibious planes in the open ocean because that's dangerous as fuck. So at first, all they do is drop a bunch of life rafts, but one of them's destroyed in the drop. The other ones of them land way too far for these exhausted crew members to swim out to, especially since they'd have to outswim sharks to get there.
In one of them, Indiana Jones in short rounds slowly drift right into the open shark's mouth.
Now, but the first plane that arrived did take a vote among their crew and elected to ignore the standing order, land on the ocean, and pick up as many people as they could. Turns out, by the way, that if you're willing to strap survivors to your wings with parachute cord, you can get about 56 people on a PBY 5A Catalina patrol plane. Of course, you can't then take off, but it still beats the hell out of being shark bait. At least they're over the water at this point. So they just chilled there, I guess, until some rescue boats could arrive. Of the 900 men who survived the initial sinking, only 316 would be ultimately rescued, and 2 of them would die shortly afterwards.
You know, at some point, though, they're all floating there in terrified silence, and one guy's like, Marco. Another guy's like, Polo. They both get stabbed a bunch. by everybody else. Those are the two guys. Yes, those are the two guys. Those are the two guys who died shortly after.
Sad because they were chums, right? They're chums. Yeah, sad.
We're not playing Sharko Polo. This is serious.
Sorry.
All right. Now, this was an institutional failure. It required several high-ranking naval officers to fuck up. So naturally, they tried to pin all the blame on the ship's commander. That's Charles B. McVeigh. He was court-martialed for failing to issue an order to abandon ship and failing to zigzag to avoid detection, both of which charges, by the way, were complete bullshit. He did order the first one was just a lie. He did order or issue the order to abandon ship, and he was ordered not to zigzag to avoid detection, which would not have helped in this instance anyway. But regardless of his innocence, he was made the fall guy for all of it, and he spent the rest of his life getting letters from families of the dead sailors with sentiments like, and this is an actual one, quote, "Merry Christmas. Our family's holiday would be a lot merrier if you hadn't killed my son," end quote.
Our fan mail is exactly like this without the Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
The Merry Christmas would be nice, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right, so he kept every one of those letters, and at the age of 70, he killed himself with his Navy-issue revolver. He was found with a gun in one hand and a toy sailor in the other, which made him both the last person to abandon the ship and the last person to die from the disaster.
All right, Noah. Bummer. Sorry. Fewer. So if you had to summarize what you learned in one sentence, what would it be?
So when you're closing off the live show doubleheader, pick an upbeat topic.
And are you ready for the quiz?
I'm ready to get the fuck out of here, yeah.
All right, after the first course, what did the Sharks have for dessert?
Oh,
Noah?
God.
Hey, give me a chance. Come on. Just give me a chance. A, tiramisu. B, guy scream float. C, drown cake with life preserves. Or D,
oh, God,
oil slickerdoodles.
Well, as fun as slickerdoodle is to say, I can say it without answering that. You know what? I like to think that at least the Sharks were punished with a guy scream headache. So I'm going to go with B.
Yes, it was B. Guy scream float.
All right, well, we were going to do our live show episodes all relating to New York. So how did Noah think this topic was New York related? Now, there's possibilities here. A stinking pool of oil, blood, and fish breath would be at home on any of New York streets. B, running out of palatable rations is par for the course at any of your fine pizzerias.
Okay.
Woo.
Yep. Yeah. All right.
9/11.
Or C, thanks for the rescue. Yeah, thank you. Or C, a bay full of bobbing corpses is just part of the wonderful local scenery.
Fair.
I'm going to go with secret answer D. This makes a lot of sense for most of the time this episode's going to be in archives. This fucking city's going to be underwater soon is what I'm saying, people. This will make sense eventually.
All right. No, I got one more for you. So obviously, they're making this story into porn.
Is that obvious?
It's rule number 34.
Oh, no, you're right. You're right. Yes. Okay.
So which of the following is the best title for that porn?
Yes.
Oh, no.
A, we're going to need a bigger throat.
Love it.
B, chum inside me. Or C, deep blue semen.
All right. Well, I am disturbed by how often I say this to you, Heath, but I'll choose the semen.
That is 100% correct. Well done.
No, yes, it is.
Yes,
it
is. No wins.
All right. That means I get to choose next week's essayist, and it won't be for a live show. Woo! Made it through all of that, so I'm going to choose Cecil.
Yeah. Next time. something good.
All right. Well, for Cecil, Tom, Noah, and Heath, I'm Eli Bosnick, thanking you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week. And by then, Cecil will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, Cecil will refuse to let me into his hotel room no matter how nice I ask. Heath and Tom will outdrink any of you motherfuckers. Just try them.
I already did.
And Noah and myself will be trapped in the corner by whoever here is the weirdest. And if you'd like to help keep this show going, you can make a per episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod. Buy all the merch that Cecil flew across the fucking country. Or leave us a 5-star review everywhere you can. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past episodes, connect with us on social media, or check the show notes. Be sure to check out citationpod.com. And remember, this has been Citation Needed, live in New York City.
Thank you for coming out.